Hi, everybody. My name is Anna. I work at James Imaging Systems. I'm one of the solution specialists there. We're expecting
Really quiet
a
microphones.
person, but I'm also not one of the engineers, bless their hearts. We get to work with me a lot. Okay, so we are talking about tariff reimbursement being simplified with workflow automation today. A bunch of buzzwords linked together. Hopefully it all makes sense by the time we're done. Today's agenda, hopefully I did put a disclaimer on for some of you there in the back. I will be doing a little bit of a level set as far as workflow automation before we get into the actual tariffs and the drawbacks or duty drawbacks. So Amy and Mark are people really here to see. I just happen to be the sideshow. Let's just say. Who knows? Sure. Okay. First and foremost. So as we're doing, going through this, we did use workflow automation for this project, right? There is a number of what we do at James is within the solution group at least. We place tools, so correct tools inside of the organization based on the potential set of problems that manufacturers, logistics companies, you name it, the type of organization has. And one of them being workflow automation with document management. Okay, so we're going to go through those words, make sure everyone is familiar with that. So then by the time we get to our duty drawback conversation, it makes a ton of sense. And in fact, by the time we get there, it's about a 5-minute conversation. So, stealing people's thunder. Workflow automation. So when I first started in this industry, we go in and we'd be like, oh, I want to optimize your processes. Oh, I want to streamline your admin. I want to do whatever the case is. It all kind of meant the same thing. We settled on, as an industry, we settled on workflow or workflow automation. And this is with all of the fancy graphs and all the fancy marketing stuff that I have seen. Bar none, this is my favorite and most educational graphic, and it is simply workflow. What is workflow automation? Oh, it's nothing more than if-then statements. So as you're working with teams, so like, you're working with your operations team, or you're working with your accounting team, if they can describe to you what they need done in if-then statements. This comes in, and if this is true, I put it here. This comes in, and if it matches something over on this table and this table, then it goes to this person. It's nothing more than a bunch of if-then statements. You get so far? Okay. For my visual people, this might be what you need. Okay. So. With that, if you are a words-focused person, the words that I'm going to give you are workflow automation. It means I'm presenting the right information to the right person at the right time. Okay? So, curious to think about it. Always the same thing. All right. Next, when we talk about workflow, and I'm just going to, shorten this to just saying workflow, assuming the automation part behind. Most of the time, you're going to be talking to, in the manufacturing sector, about ERPs. Jake from Ben's Metal mentioned an MRP, a manufacturing resource planning software. Your ERPs are like the NetSuite, the SAPs, the Global Shops, like those types of business systems, right? By and large, they do now offer, especially if you're in the cloud, they offer workflow capabilities. Workflow capabilities mean a bunch of if-then statements, right? Which is fantastic. We love that. Except, a lot of times your ERP is not good at handling documents. It is fantastic at handling data. And that's what we wanted to do. That's what we needed to do. That should be the data Bible if you're running business applications. So you're under So what we're talking about today is workflow automation paired with document management. Bear with me, I'm going down a rabbit hole, but I need this to be said. The ERPs, most of them will have this, hopefully, workflow capabilities. We should also have a document management system inside them, or what they would call a DMS, document management system. Problem is, a lot of times it's a bolt-on DMS, which means I'm going to this transaction, and I click this link, and I can upload my customer purchase order, and I can upload the invoice from this client or this vendor. And so I can organize and I can store things there, but it doesn't do anything for us, right? It's just kind of a place to, these documents go to die, right? So if you get a document management system, a true document management system with workflow automation, that's when you get what we call an enterprise content management system or an ECM system. Happens to be what we used in our conversation with Amy. I didn't even let you guys introduce yourselves. I just wanted to
You're okay.
We're good.
We'll get into that in a second. We'll back all the way up to the intro slide. Anyway, so ECM system. Did everyone get that line of thought? Welcome to memory. How we got from workflow automation to an enterprise content management system, and how that works inside of the manufacturing company. Picture my slide. It's awesome. Okay. Reason I have this, you never need to know any of this. When we are talking about an ECM system, there's going to be 3 areas that we're going to talk about, and one in particular in each of those areas for the project that we are discussing today. First and foremost, you're going to talk about, when you're talking ECM, how are we capturing content or ingesting that information, okay? Second part is what are we doing with it when it's inside? This is where the workflow comes into play. I highlighted it just in case anyone missed that word. Third is what are we doing with the information? This is where we're pulling information off the printed page or off the customer documents or off the vendor documents and integrating it into your other business applications, okay? For today's, I think there's a pointer on here. That would have been so cool. It's not there. For today's purposes, we are capturing the documents via scanned documents because we are talking the BOLs from the shipping, okay? When they're inside, all we're doing is we're doing some rules-based routing, place them on lists based on the ship-to addresses. We needed to know, are these, the orders going out of the company, are they shipped to someplace in Canada? Are they shipped to someplace in Mexico? Or are they shipped to someplace domestic? Is there a state? Okay, so there's workflow in there. And then in the integration part, we didn't actually fully integrate it. There was a manual CSV export, which is, I'm gonna say not very glorious, but it's still. So if you ever need quick integration, it's a CSV export, right? Okay, that's everything that I have. That was me being a sideshow and working up the crowd and making sure we're all speaking the same language. Questions, because we're free to ask questions. We're good. Oh, man. All right, that being said, I'm backing it all the way up. Please meet your actual people. We have.
I'm Amy Pepin. I am the controller at Optimum Crush.
Yeah.
And I'm Mark Dodge. I'm the Vice President of Client Satisfaction at James Imaging, and I oversee our solutions group as well.
All right.
Should I be taking notes?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, the project at hand came about because Amy, way back when, came in to look at a copy machine. And then the compensation was way less. I think this was implemented potentially before the compensation. So I don't know that for sure. All right, so with that, I'm gonna give that to you.
Okay.
What am I looking at?
Now you guys may maybe.
I was like, where's
Now I need to stand up because now I can't see. Okay, so everything you need to know about the duty drawbacks and tariffs is administered by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. And this QR code we give you takes you to the page about tariffs and customs, what they're administered. So the duty drawback has actually been around since 2018, but tariffs were minor back then compared to now. So it wasn't getting a lot of traction or a lot of attention. Today, in today's world, tariffs are all over the place, and they're impacting businesses. They impact our business. We buy and sell hardware that's imported in some cases from countries that have a tariff, and then our prices have changed. So with the duty drawback, there's a process with Customs and Border to file a claim to say I bought a product and paid a tariff, I manufactured or built a product, and I sold it out of the U.S. When you do that, you get your tariff back from the import. Now, the country you're shipping to might have a different story. So we're talking about the import piece of that, which is the tariff for your incoming material. There's also a section in here that talks about if you import material and then you destroy it. In manufacturing, you sometimes have waste. I know we minimize it, try not to have a lot. But if there's waste, the waste is eligible for the duty drawback too, because you're not using it as a product to be sold in the U.S. So it becomes disposable and then qualifies as well. Now, to do the duty drawback, you have options. You can hire a licensed custom broker who will charge you probably an arm and a leg, and they'll file all the claim for you on your behalf. You can self-file through the Service Bureau, and they provide both software and communications to the CBP Center, and you can upload all of your information yourself into their portal. Or third, you can establish your own communications connection to the Customs and Border Protection Data Center in order to self-file your claims. There's more information about it, and we have these links, by the way, are on that same home page where the QR would take you. So manually doing it. Now, to get the drawback, there's a process. You have to prove the incoming material. So obviously you need a purchase order, a bill of lading, receiving, you've got steel, whatever from overseas, you pay the tariff. You build the product, you now have a sales order to sell it to a client, and that customer could be in the US or out of the US. If they happen to be out of the US, those documents going together, bought, for simple math, $10,000 of material, I had another $10,000 tariff because that's what it was that day. I built the product, sold it to Canada. I get that tariff piece back by filing all those forms and paperwork. The reason Anna started out talking about workflow processes, which really, for our software and workflow itself, started with accounting, matching accounts payables for purchase receipts and invoices, the same for approval and payment. That same theory can be leveraged here to assemble those documents. We can assemble the bill of lading, the purchase order, the receipt, the sales order, the invoice, the shipping manifest, and we can combine all these documents, and you do need all these documents, so that you have a set packet to file your tariff from your duty drawback process. Did I make it overly complicated or pretty simple?
No, it's pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
So we have actually leveraged our freight forwarder to help us with this process. They start by providing us a file of all of the imports that we got from here. This file will include all of the information that we need for when we provide the file to give them the exports. It will provide the customs date, the customs number. It will actually even tell you how much the tariff was, how much the fees are, so that you can take that data and then use your data internally to figure out what was exported. So we take that data and then we mine in our ERP system to find find those items that are then exported out of the United States. It can go to Canada, it can go to any country just as long as it's not in the United States. And then you have to support that to the point of we need bill of lading. And right when we started this process, when it was given to me by my team to start looking at, what we did was we literally had a pile of hard copy bill of lading. And so we'd have to have staff go and sort all of those by customer, sort all of them by if it goes to US, if it goes to Canada, and then once it's sorted, using the identifiers that we got from our ERP system, we then had to go through it again to find the correct bill of lading to be able to provide the information that needs to be sent to the customs to be able to get the DVR from the customs. So when I met with Anna, which is, I joke because I believe it was literally a year ago. I believe it actually was all three of us that met.
Yes.
We sat down. I reached out to them because I saw that they do integration with SAP, which is the system that we use, and this was a hot button for our company because we've been importing from China for years. And when the tariffs went up to 25% in 2018, we're like, hey, we should probably start getting this back. And now that they're even higher, it's becoming really a hot topic. And so we met a year ago, and I'm like, this is what I want to be able to do. And we actually started by looking at the bill of ladings because that is the biggest component that's the most time consuming because you have to go through paper documents, identify information, make sure you have all the information. So with the help of her engineering team, we were able to set up a workflow that the documents go get PDF to put into the system. Once it gets into the system, it then, through coding that they've done in the background, decides whether or not it's a domestic or international. With that information, it also provides the SCAT code, which is the truck code information. What I did was provide them actually a list of SCAT codes, and then they put that into the system, and the system then goes, okay, well, if it's T-Force, this is the 4-digit code that you need to have for that, and identifies that. It also pulls off the truck code number. This is the most important piece because it's the number that when the government is looking at your exports, can actually show that it left the United States. Because if you have to be able to prove it or they won't pay the tariffs. And then they also have 3 years from that point to actually come back at any point in time and say, I would like documentation XYZ to prove this out. And then the other thing that helped us identify it was a customer reference number. Since those are put on all of our bill of lading, it was the easiest way to identify our bill of lading back to what was in our ERP system. So it pulls those 3 data points, and then it qualifies it, and then it pulls it into the CSV file, qualifies it that says, here's your SCAT code, here's where it got sent to, here's your truck code number, and if you're missing your truck code number, here's the ones that you have to go and find, and here's your customer reference number. So we can easily search within the system to find a customer reference number. We can just export the information out of the system to be able to put it into the file that we then have to provide to customs to be able to do our duty drawback.
Question. So what we've done is taken all the manual labor. So the first challenge Amy didn't tell you about was we have to hire more staff and we don't have room like to bring more people in the office to sort this manual. We are doing all the sorting, matching, and record keeping electronically behind the scenes. So it takes seconds to go match all the documents and find how they match up. This is also revision record keeping. So the software we use keeps revisions. So if you go in and edit a document and somebody asks for the original, you still have both the original and the edited version. This makes our software also compliant for lawyers to use, accountants, everybody that needs. Where's the original? I have the original here. I also have the document written up one where we, accounting made notes. Oh, we should have paid this, whatever notes people want to put on for the future. But it's all stored and secure so that it can be accessed relatively easily. This process came from mimicking the accounts payable process. And we actually use it at our office, by the way. We use this same software. We have bills that come in, The bills come in, we find the purchase order, the bill of lading for the receipt, the packing list, and our purchase order, we match it all up. Then we send it over to accounts payable and they pay the invoices. However, we make big buys. Recently, I just did a purchase for $1 million. I can't approve that, and nobody in our office under me can. However, the owner of our company is the one that approves it. So we took this software, we installed it on a mobile app on his phone, so no matter where he is, usually at nighttime, he can pull the app up because he gets a notice. There's a bill that needs approval to pay. And when he pulls that up on his phone, he can see the packing list, the purchase order, the bill of lading, he can see all the information relating to it. And he can decide I approve it, which case we'll pay in the morning. Or he can deny paying it, and he can write notes in there to the next person on the staff that it goes to. We also have an escalation process that isn't needed for this procedure, but can be done. So I have another client, buys steel, well, takes parts for Harley Davidson. He gives 2% discount to pay net 10. The problem is, one of his factories is in Ohio and the other's up here, and getting the paperwork from Ohio to up here took time. When he buys steel, he buys $1 million of it at a time, so it's not a small discount of 2%. He missed the 10-day window 60% of the time before we implemented the software. Paper, this is actually the fastest ROI we ever did. We paid for the software in the first month. 100% by giving him his 2% discount. Because he had the money, and he was willing to pay the bill, but only the executive vice president of the company could approve it. Normally, smaller bills, and so we set up staggered levels. Anything under a certain threshold, the county manager could approve. Anything higher than that threshold, but below another threshold, went to the CFO, he approved it. Then it went beyond that, it went to executive. We also put a clock on it. So he's got some other smaller invoices that maybe not come directly to him, the same thing. Gonna get a discount, pay that 10. So we put a clock on it, the manager doesn't approve it in 2 days, escalates to the manager's boss doesn't approve it, escalates it to the top. The goal is to get it to the very top approval process before the 10 days expire. And you can do it from anywhere in the world that you have a phone system. Yeah, you can do it from your computer system, yes. But you can do it. You also can create an out of office. So if you're using it for, I know I've digressed a little, but if you're using it for AP, you also can create an out of office rule that says, I'm out of office, so I can't approve anything. It automatically go to whoever I delegated to approve it by behalf. Maybe I'm going somewhere on vacation or I'm not going to have a phone signal or a good one. And therefore, I want somebody else to do the approvals, and that person for that time period gets those notifications instead of sitting waiting for the clock to expire on me. So it's very flexible, versatile software. It's used extensively to manage content information and keep records and be able to access, find them immediately. And for tariffs, it's very important. They are very, I know it's hard to believe, the government, I think the IRS must run this. They are very particular about all the paperwork being correct, because what they're looking to do is not do it. Did I say that loud? Well, the reality is they do make a difference. Well, this is why the brokers who do this for you manually charge a lot, is because it has to be done right. With this software, it's foolproof. We won't mix match. The system's always looking to match. Does this match this? And these two go together. And it sorts through it. If it finds something it can't identify, it will make an exception and ask somebody manually, there's data missing on it, there's data missing on the bill of lading. It would prompt you, if this field I need and it's missing, so please put it in. That becomes manually data entry. So if you look at the bill of lading, there's one in the system that doesn't have the tracking number or something on it, and there'd be one that does because somebody typed it in, because you went and researched it, and then it continues on with the work. It's all designed to help speed up the process, make it efficient, and then, oh, by the way, if they come back a year or 2 years from now and say, hey, do you have this proof of delivery on this deal? You can go right to the software, put in the deal number, and all the documents come up, including a record of when you submitted if you want to keep track of when they were actually submitted. That's a lot. but it's trying to help you manage through today's real world where I know in manufacturing we don't have all the raw material here in the United States. It's just reality. It's a global world. We import a lot of material from around the world, not just China, and we export a lot of material. The U.S. is actually a very, very big exporter of material. We send a lot. You wouldn't know it listening to the news, but we actually export a lot of material out of the United States. So where you're getting part of your material that's being charged a tariff, and you're using it to make a product you're exporting, the government gives you a path to get that tariff back. They just don't advertise it in the hopes that you don't ask for it and they get to keep it. We're here to help you. You're eligible to get it. We want to help you get that money back, which you do, because it's affecting your business. If your costs go up, your clients' costs go up, your customers, start shopping, the next thing you know, it's a difficult situation to be in. So we can help make it easy for you. We're not telling you it's going to fire anybody in your company. What it's going to do, we got another client we're working with right now to onboard, where they literally, and I couldn't believe it until I heard it, told their sales department to stop selling because they were so far behind. They had a 6-week delay. So we asked what the delay was with manufacturing. No, the VP of their production is like, I can grow 25%. I'm looking for work. Sales reps are, I'm selling, like, no, tomorrow. The problem is the office staff has to compile this whole packet that sends it to the shop to production so they can build it home. Compiling all of that paperwork into a packet, into a work detail for their production facility took time. They have 6 girls that they're doing, and they have a 6-week backlog. We proposed putting this solution in for a workflow efficiency, and we discovered doing our study it allowed sales to start selling again, which they wanted to do because that's how they paid. It didn't require them to hire any additional help for their admin staff. It increases production line 25%, which is really good. So it's a versatile, flexible software. It does a lot for you. I know we came to talk about the tariff piece because that's really relevant in today's world for manufacturers who are dealing with, I heard about it in the General Assembly, sourcing material and tariffs and the impact and what's that doing for your business. So we want everyone to know there is a software solution that will help aid that process. Staff is expensive, and it will pay for itself in return if you're getting back and not having extra payroll, extra employees. And then file cabinets of documents, so you hope they're all filed right if you get audited. That's the other thing, because that's a lot of storage space for all those documents if you have to keep them for several years to be audited. Here, it can be stored electronically. Questions?
So it's a software that spits stuff, right? You're saying it can integrate with the ERP.
It can integrate. So we integrate with SAP, we integrate with Outlook, we integrate with a lot of things. If we integrate with Outlook, so we can present it in your Outlook so you don't have to leave your Outlook to go to the program and do something. We integrate with quite a few other ERPs. We have a construction company that we integrate into their Job Boss, is it?
Job Boss,
Yeah.
Viewpoint, for
Viewpoint.
construction companies, Job Boss.
Construction.
Yeah.
So we can integrate into a lot of ERPs through our software connector. And then what we can do is, in some, not every case, but in a lot of cases, we can push data back and forth. Because again, your ERP is just raw data. It's not actually a document of any kind. And we can take that raw data and put it into a document format. And we can take documents that are scanned or saved electronically. So you can just drop and drag. Somebody sends you an email and attachment, you can just drop and drag it to the folder and it goes right into this system, scans it, OCRs it, so it's readable, searchable, and files it where it needs to be filed.
And it's the software custom built, so like for Optimum Crush, are you just using it for this piece, or do you also then consider looking at using it for AP and?
Sorry, I should have pushed the button. So yes, the discussion is to use it for other things now that it's in place. The biggest return on investment for Optimum Crush was helping with their tariff situation. It was a staffing problem and a work problem, and it was money. It was tying up capital. So that's where we started. will work over to the AP and their other challenges.
And we started like there's more to accumulating all the documents. Like he said, you can accumulate all the documents in DocuWare. We started with the bill of lading process because that was the process that was providing the most angst. When I met with the engineers when we first started discussing it, we actually mapped out how it would look holistically to make sure we saw endpoint to endpoint. And so there is opportunities to do even a further integration with the system to be able to get all of the information in there so that it does dump out a CSV file that would just be, these are the 5 pieces of information that I need to be able to provide to Customs and Border Control in order to get my tariff back. It has that capability. We just started here to go, this is the one that's got the biggest headache. Now we need to find ways to integrate the other components into it so that we have it all in one place.
Yeah, so it's very versatile. So another example of how we use this software is clients will put a fillable form on their website. We've all seen it. You go to a website, fill out the form, hit submit, hope somebody replies, right? That's a workflow. We can present that document to the web page, the client fills it out, kicks it into our software, and does a workflow to route wherever it needs to go or whatever it needs to do. So for instance, in our business, our sales organization uses this software. Some don't realize it. They do. They want to do an order for a client. They submit the documents to a form we have on the website. And they submit, here's our internal packet, here's the client signing document. Goes to our order processing department, they check it for errors to make sure we've got tax right and all the stuff right in the documents. Then it kicks over to DocuSign, DocuSign sends it out, makes a signature, comes back, goes to the next step of the workflow to the order desk, where it then pushes it into our ERP system we run our business on. And it creates delivery tickets for the delivery team, service tickets for the install for the service team. It breaks the order out of the contract to the contracts department to do billing. It sends the leasing information to the leasing department. All the rep does manually is submits the order. From there, it's an automated workflow waiting for something next to happen. For instance, the client doesn't sign the DocuSign. DocuSign will time out after a week and say I didn't get a return and the order's done. Okay, we've got a problem, and we will correct it. So it does notify us if there's a glitch along the way. But these were all steps manually our staff is having to do. And now we've automated it to free up our staff to do more important work, which is helping solve client issues, dealing with stuff that we need to deal with during the day, versus just shuffling papers, trying to figure out get the right sheet to the right person. Now we let the software drive it all. Yes?
Where they pretty much standardized form government forms, relatively easy to deal with OCR or whatever, and emails where you can figure it out using AI.
So we do have AI as part of this, so it helps us when it needs to. But OCR, and I can load OCR pretty much anytime. With the AI, I can qualify this because I'm going to get shot here. But with AI, we can read handwriting. Yes, I'm going to say it now. If you're a doctor, I cannot read your handwriting. The AI can't read your handwriting. I don't know how pharmacists get it right. So in those cases, I can't read it. But if it's legible handwriting, AI can read it, convert it to text, and type it.
What do you do? Because that was a very good question.
Logistics.
Logistics. Okay, so what he just asked, and this we are going to tie it back to this project because I don't remember how many different freight companies you work with.
So if, let's say, your particular ERP kicks out your purchase orders to vendors and we're capturing those. We're capturing your document, so if I'm looking for an order number, it's always in the same place. If I'm looking for customer name, it's always in the same place. That's considered in our industry a structured document, which is easy to OCR, right? Old school mentality, and I'm using old school quotes because it wasn't too long in the past, but that is considered an OCR positional type. Look in this box, here you go. But you set it for you, right? Now there's a level 2, more intermediate level,
where it's machine learning OCR. So it works well in unstructured documents. So this is where I'm gonna ask you how many different freight vendors, it's like 3 large ones, right? But a bunch of other ones.
Yeah, so all of our, so the way that the product we use our building is it leaves via our customer's freight provider. So I think we had 5 main ones that were for our large customers that were all, that were mostly in Canada. And then for our US based customers, there was probably anywhere from 10 to 12. Not all of them were OCR because some of them, like, I send something to them once a year that's not point. But yes, it will take, and bill of ladings they're not all the same, and not every customer wants want it to look the same either. There are actually some customers who get the information from us, and there's some customers who give us the information. And so they built it so that it would be able to find key data points to be able to pull out the information. Usually like alphanumeric things that would specifically identify it, or the truck pro number. A lot of times there was a barcode, and so it would look for the barcode and then take the number that is under the barcode or above the barcode. So they're not easy, simple templates for a system to just easily run through. Each one had to be put together and figured out.
So by truck quote, that's the sticker that could be anywhere.
Yeah, sticker. It could be a sticker.
Anywhere on the page.
It could be handwritten by the truck driver. It could be, it's all different ways that it could be put on to the bill of lading.
That's fantastic.
What?
The message popped up from one of our engineers. They're listening.
Okay, so there's kind of 2 conversations going on right now. The product we use to do this project, and then the project itself with the actual duty drawback or the tariff drawback. So to answer your question, if I go on the product side of things, it is not our proprietary software. It is a software that we resell because we don't want to be in the product development business. We leave that to the Germans. We're very popular. However, it comes as a white box, right? And we call it a tool. It's a digital tool. Yeah, we don't buy it and use it for one particular thing. Our certain president who has this is my this here and this is my this here, right? You use it across a wide variety of applications. Same thing with this. I will tell you, our personal numbers here in the Midwest. This particular tool, 67% of the time, 2023, we didn't bring 2024 numbers. First place was largely manufacturing, specifically in the food department. Second most popular department was in manufacturing, but in China. That is the typical spread, but what we like about it is it can be configured to accommodate just about any type of process, because that's where workflow comes in. You can only find that through conversation, because we have to get the project out of people's heads. Like, I do this SCAC, which I can't say this word. I can vary in the back from BDT is probably what it will the SCAC number and the trucking pro number. I look for those, and then I look to see, is this domestic, is this international, right? Those are all those if-then statements that we can only find out by having a conversation with the person actually doing it. So when they're sitting down with them and saying, hey, how can we make your life easier? That's the conversation. So this was just one. Mark and I learned a lot working with Amy. So this was just the perfect scenario as far as the vendor-client relationship, where both parties brought something to the table. We have this tool, we have expertise, and we know how to build it. We don't know what the heck we're building. Teach us how to do that, right? So that's really kind of wrapping this back to the project. I promise I will try to mute my computer. So sorry, guys. All right, let's start back on, just make sure that we cover the basis. Now that you know what we came here to tell you, go through drawbacks. We're gonna make this. Drawbacks, make sure there's answer any questions there, and then the project itself, and then product, I'm gonna say if you have questions on product, come meet me at the James Imaging booth, yeah? Cool. New laptop and you don't have a mute button.
It's all with the speaker symbol.
There we go.
I also work in IT. Yes.
So for the project, were you using RPA AI to actually process the digital back?
We did not need to use AI for it because of the type of material we're dealing with. We're able to read an OCR as it is. So we didn't need AI.
Previously.
Hmm.
You just process it.
Yeah. We just scan it in and it looks at it, goes, this is an invoice, this is no waiting, this is a pro number, this is what it matches to, and it starts to put stuff in. So we learned what we didn't know. So what we didn't know is what's required for the product. We're not shipping anything out of the country that we built here, so I'm not subject to any drawback. So we had to ask Amy, this is where her company came into play, is what we do. And when they started compiling the list of, we put this, then we developed how to put that all together for them. So it becomes a finished product. And it saves them searching manually. I gotta find this bill of lading from 6 months ago because now we finished the product and we sold it and I need my money, and created a lot of work for them. I didn't see easily just like that way. But we had to understand what we were trying to accomplish. We're trying to submit a packet, custom, for our DB drawback. Okay, what's in the packet? Was a manifest, it's a bill of lading, shipping, all the information that we covered. We said, great, we could capture it, so we captured it. And we were able to compile it and then set it up and say, this was this order, this client, the material came from here on this date, we paid this much in tariff, we shipped it all here. We were able to connect the dots for it electronically. We don't necessarily take every piece of information scanned as a piece of paper, because today's becoming an electronic world. So if I have an electronic document saved on my computer, I can push it over into this system and it treats it like a piece of paper.
Everyone know what RPA is? I haven't. I'm not due for this. I need to just have the quality account, so I can use my stories. The question was, did you need to use RPA, which is robotic process automation? It's a step above workflow automation. And yes, we can use robotic process automation. There's a price tag to it. We didn't need it in this case. We could use it with some simple logic, defensive, right? This is my analogy for anyone that wants to do robotic process automation and everyone copy referring to as RPA. It is Rosie from the Jetsons, okay? If you need an RPA, Rosie could freaking do anything, right? But you need to train Rosie on how to do that. And most RPA bots will only let you do one thing at a time. Right? So some RPAs, for the most part, workflow automation is I do this one thing and I go right down my list and I can't remember right? RPA, I can do freaking anything, but I can only do one operation at a time, which is physical. Rosie could be cooking breakfast before she went and did the laundry, so on and so forth, okay? So that was the question, RPA versus AI, which are both slightly more than what we needed for this project.
We have capabilities to add AI in and do other things, but it just drives the cost up. So one of the things in my company is we want to help our clients, so we don't want to gouge. If you don't need something, we don't want something. That's our philosophy. So in this case, AI wasn't needed, the AI indexing wasn't needed. There were other tools that were available we could have added on to run the price up, but it wasn't needed. So we sold them just what they needed for this particular product, and it helps the ROI come back a little faster for our clients, which helps us maintain the business. So we're privately owned, so the owner of our company has a client-centric focus for all of us. Notice I keep using the word client. We don't call them customers. Customers is viewed in our company as a transactional item. You go to Walmart and buy something to eat, and they're going to go back. Client is like attorneys, you're on retainer, you're going to continue to do business together, so we view everybody as a client. We want that business relationship long term. We want to help their business. So it doesn't do me any good to gouge and add things on that might not be needed. So we come in with, Anna's one of our best. We come in and do a full analysis. We look at what the scope of the work might be, what is it we're trying to accomplish, and then figure out what pieces and tools are really needed just to accomplish that. Now, if you grow and you need to add on later, it's very expandable. We can always add on. We don't have to start over again. We can just keep adding on. But we always will try and get it down to what does it take to do this particular role for you. And it can do multiple things at the same time.
So are your clients purchasing the software or are they having a monthly subscription?
It's done on an annual subscription, and in a lot of cases, clients are opting to do a 4 or 5 year lease, just to amortize, just to go over time and not get price increases. So it is a subscription software.
I like that question.
Good question.
Is there a volume where it starts making sense for a process to start, where the ROI starts kicking in, making sense, whether it's on the HP side or on something like this Tariff project?
Because every process is individual, and just try to get to, even if we're just talking AP, which is pretty cut and dry across organizations, I get to run into one where it's 12,000 invoices a month, great, awesome, you're gonna save X. Because it comes down to how much time it takes them, each individual organization processes differently. As a rule of thumb, I would say if I can save a client 4 hours a week across the organization, it pays to at least look at the initial, like, small problem. But then from there, it depends, because we take a half step to the right, it's like we're talking about a completely different thing. And if I can save, $6,000 or something, I don't care, so that I totally make those up. I don't know, remember what the outcome. It's gonna make sense.
And we can always sit down and go through what the ROI would look like based on scope of the problem. So if you only want it, I just want to do this AP, and it would require me to hire a person. Well, what's the salary of a full-time employee with benefits over time versus the software that can do this for you? Is there an ROI? You know, the ROI obviously is pretty quick. Less than a year. Then it makes sense to say, yeah, and then it keeps doing it going forward, and we have our records. And it comes in a lot of different use cases, medical, education. For instance, education gets a lot of FOIA requests. That's an industry that everybody's FOIA is office info, and there's certain things they can't send out. For instance, if it has a student's ID with a social security number on it, that's illegal to send out, but the document made in FOIA qualified that you can request it, they have to give it to you, but they have to redact it. Our software can know the social security code is a 3-digit dash, 2-digit dash, 4-digit. Anytime it sees that number, it redacts it, takes it off the document before it publishes it out. So they use it in FOIA, it's like student IDs, a PIN number, there's a list, they go down, the software knows what to look for to find that data, scans every document, redacts all, every bit of the data. Now, inside the software itself, they still hold the original document with the information on it. Documents they provided under the FOIA request or anything else, all that's redacted. I mean, unique education's a little different, but have a unique workflow for HR, for education. When a school hires a teacher, they have several challenges. One, you cannot keep the teacher's records, application, and file information with their tax information. It's actually against the law. You have to create 2 separate files, keep them in separate places. You know, I tell the government 100 times it's the same physical computer. Done that, they're in 2 different places. So what they do is they take that hiring packet, the application, the credentials, the certifications, the before, all the stuff the teacher filled out, throw in a scanner, scan it into the software and workflow, disperse it. Creates a tax folder form on the teacher's name, creates an HR folder form with their name, sends a document to the IT department that says this teacher starting on this day, needs this ID badge, and needs a door pass to open the door to get into the school, and does all the workflow for them. Behind the scenes. So they don't have to remember, oh yeah, I gotta create a separate folder. Then on the flip side, what the school uses it for is, it's a snowy day, the teachers are sick, math teacher for ninth grade, calls in sick, go to the software. I need a current certified teacher that will substitute ninth grade math. Here's your current list. They have valid certificates on file that are still valid. They teach ninth grade math, and they're on your acceptable substitute teacher list. Now the principal's not scrolling through some notebook of indexes. Whoa, who's the person we called last time? Now it presents it for them as a list, and they can call. So there's a lot of different use cases where people are doing. It's trying to help people convert to more of an electronic world. Get away from manual paper, manual processes, having to look things up, having to go find information. It's about having the information available to you. I tell people having this software is like having Google in your own business. Where's the invoice? How much did I spend at CEW last year? Software comes back with you spent $128,000. You want to see purchase orders and receipts? It'll present them all to you.
We've got time
Now,
for,
one last thing.
yeah,
It's
one
based
question and two
on-
announcements.
Wait, everything we talked about today is based on rights. So you give rights to the users in the system. So everything I told you can see and get is not necessarily available to every member of the company. For instance, if you're storing HR documents, you certainly don't want every employee looking at your HR documents. So you restrict access to HR or whoever else needs that access to it. Okay. I had to throw security in there.
Yeah, thank you, I appreciate that. Any takers on last question for the duty drawback option? Yes.
I was just wondering how much customization had to be done with the software, or is this just out of the box?
There was some customization. There is some out of the box, some custom. So the ability to OCR match and do some of those things, that's out of the box. The software can do it. You just have to tell it what it's looking for to do it. And our engineers told it the data is found here. This is what it looks like. This is what I need. These codes, these numbers. Then it goes to town and starts to. So there is a little bit of fine tuning, finessing the engineers do to make it work in the environment.
Then you have to tie it into the ERP as well.
We don't have to.
Oh,
I mean, it can stand alone by itself.
Oh,
We can tie it in. We can also tie it into your office product. So if you have a multi-function copier, printer, scanner, device in your office, we can tie it into that. So you walk up the copier, hit the scan button, and the folder goes to this software and do a workflow. Straight off the copy.
All right, the last announcement in the cocktail hour.
Yep.
You all have, either underneath your tush or right next to you, have an invite to our open house this week, which, wouldn't you know, at 11 a.m. is going to be a fantastic seminar. But stop by our booth out here. We'd love to get you registered. We like parties, and we do a good job with our open houses. So,
Yeah.
you're
Come
on.
by, see the staff, sit down, ask questions.
Right in Brookfield.
Yeah, it's right up the road.
Absolutely. I think that's it, and we've got cocktail hour, guys.